Well, welcome everyone to the Hop. I am so excited to welcome you today. This is going to be a really special episode. I have Brooke Fedigan here today, and she is from Farmhouse 1820, and she is going to share just really her blogging journey, how she got started. I am really excited to hear from her. I've been over on her blog and looking through some of her things, and one of the things that she is going to share today is something really special, and I think with it being spring, it's something that you are going to be really interested in, and it's a beautiful spring greenhouse. When I looked at it, I was really, really envious. And so I know it's a project that she's going to share with you today. I'm looking forward to hearing from her. But then I am really looking forward to hearing about her background and how she got started. It's really something very interesting. And I'm really curious to hear how she got started and why she chose her blogging journey and also her 200-year-old farmhouse. So welcome, Brooke. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I want to also say one of the ways that we have met is that we are part of a mastermind group that is for bloggers, and it's through Thistlewood. And so I just want to thank Kari Ann and what she's done, and it is just a really great community where we've met new friends.
Wonderful
And it really is, and we are really learning and growing together. And so I love that it joins us all together for this. Well, welcome, Brooke. Thank you for being
so
here.
much.
Well, let's just get started on some of our questions today. So I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got started.
Okay. I am married to a wonderful man, and we have two beautiful children and teenagers. Their birthdays are coming up this week. And we have lived in our 1820s farmhouse for coming up on 11 years.
Wow.
So, yeah. And we live on just about 3 acres, and it's lovely. We have a family of fox that live just on the side of our property, and she has 6 kits.
Oh, wow.
So
wow.
It's fun to watch them too. So it's fun to live in the country.
Oh.
So we're in New York, and we live in the Hudson Valley. We're about 60 miles north of New York City.
Wow.
So an easy commute.
Yes. So do you still commute to New York?
I don't. My husband, he doesn't. He works on Broadway. He does the lighting for Broadway shows. So obviously Broadway is dark right now, but when it starts back, he will.
Wow. Oh, that is amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, and we talked a little bit about that. That's one of the things that we love going to New York and love going to Broadway. So what a neat thing. So
yeah.
I'm sure very hard right now. I can't even imagine what you guys have been going through. That's just,
it's tough that he's not working, but we've had a beautiful quarantine. We've just been fortunate. Yeah. We've loved having him home. He always works nights and weekends. So it's been nice to have him home on nights and weekends and to make dinner with him. And we really enjoyed it.
Right. Yeah. I think that's one of
like a little semi-retirement,
Yeah. I think that's one of the things about the quarantine for a lot of us. It forced us to slow down.
Yeah.
And, we really kind of gained back something that we, really kind of had let go for so long. So
slow down and also just kickstart a bunch of projects that you've just pushed aside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So you've been blogging for about 7 years, I think.
7 years.
Okay. So how did you get started blogging?
I when we moved in here, a lot of people were interested in what it was like living in an old farmhouse. And, we had to do a lot of projects. And so I just decided I love to write, and it's a nice outlet for me. And I decided to just bring people along and show them what we're doing and what it's like and the quirks and the beauty of living in such an old house. Right. So I got started, and I wrote a couple posts just to feel it out, just to see what was going on. And I just loved it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you shared as we were getting started with doing the Hop and was that you had a little bit kind of a different background than blogging and also living on a farm out, that was 200 years old. What did you do before you lived on a farm?
Right. So before I had children, I worked at Tommy Hilfiger, and I was a designer at Tommy Hilfiger in men's licensing design. So yeah, it was a great job. I loved it. When in high school, I wanted to go into fashion. I got my degree in fashion merchandising, and I loved it, but I knew that I wanted to have children and I didn't want to work. I wanted to, and my commute, because I would take the train, it was about 2 hours door to door. You have to drive to train station, park, take your train, and then walk to work. So it was long, and it was a long time to just be away from the kids. So when I got pregnant with my son, I stopped working.
Oh, that's amazing. That's wonderful. And, I'm sure that you've been more than blessed for doing that too.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. Some days I do miss working in a corporate environment. I miss that camaraderie, because you're kind of talking to a computer, and sometimes the girl at the grocery store, every once in a while. But, yeah, but yeah, for the most part, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Right. Well, I think I'm sure there are a lot of people that would think, how in the world would you give up something like a job, designing in New York City for staying at home and living on a farm? But, the benefits and the rewards are just amazing.
Yeah. I just loved it.
Yeah. Well, so how did you find your farmhouse?
Well, that's a good question. We lived in another house a couple towns over, and we needed to move. We needed a little more room. We wanted a different school district. And my parents, I wanted a guest bedroom for them so they wouldn't have to sleep on a pull-out couch. So my husband, we were like, we got to just find the perfect storm. So we need to find your farmhouse in the school district. And he said, and I want just a little bit of land, not too much. Yeah. And so I put the kids in the back of the car, and I just went on a ride one day, and I'm in a garden club, and we had a garden club meeting just down the street from here in an old farmhouse. So I thought, I wonder if there's another one near there. If, I'm just going to drive around and see if anything's for sale, or if I can put a note in a mailbox to see if they're willing to sell. And I drove by this house, and there was a sign that said for sale by owner.
Yeah.
And so we called the number, and we arranged to come and look at it, and we loved it. And we made an offer, and there was just a lot of back and forth, and they were older, and they had never really been through a buy sell process because they inherited the house. And so we sold our house in January, and we didn't move into here until May, the end of May, because they just kept backing out, but we're here. Yeah. And it all worked out, and we love it.
Yeah. Well, sometimes those types of processes are worth it.
Yeah. And just ride in the car. That's how I found it.
What was it about the house? I mean, I know that as I was reading your blog about, your house and seeing some of the rooms, what was it that just grabbed you about the house? And I know you looked at the property, and then I'm sure, you said there were lots and lots of projects, and there are a lot of people that can't see past that.
Right.
They look at it and they go, okay, there's no way. We want the finished house. We want it to look, we want to be able to walk into it. But what grabbed you and spoke to you and said, this is it?
Honestly, it sounds silly, but there's a fireplace in the kitchen. And I loved the layout. There's in old homes, there's a lot of doors in each room. So, there's no such thing as an open concept in here. And we did remove a couple doors, but I just loved the layout. I loved the feel of the property. There's established trees that are perfectly shaped, and a beautiful back porch and two front porches. So between the porches and probably the fireplace in the kitchen, it's a nice sized kitchen that I just loved it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
It
beautiful.
faced south,
Yeah.
which I love because that way you can have sunlight all day long.
I want you to be sure to go over to her blog. I'm going to put a link in here so that you can visit Farmhouse 1820. And it is really, really special. I love the part that you put that it still had the hook for the pot that they used, and that fireplace was
The
used.
swing arm, yeah.
Yes, that it would heat the home, and that's where they did their cooking, and it was used, used so much more than what we use them for today.
Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said you still use it to heat a lot of the house.
Yes. For some reason in my office, I have a fireplace also, but the previous owners sealed it up. So our goal is to unseal it and maybe put a gas insert in there. But, with any project, especially in an old house, you always have to anticipate opening up a big can of worms. So that's why it seems pretty easy to just kind of, but we just don't know what we're going to get into there. And
Right. Yeah,
we've just been putting it off. But yeah, the fireplace in the kitchen it's a really huge source for heat.
sure. Right here, right in our kitchen, our home is almost 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so this kitchen did not look like this at all. It was actually, I'd have to count again. It was one, two, it was about 4 rooms.
Oh, wow.
Between the kitchen and the breakfast room and a little small bathroom. And then like where I'm sitting was like the mud room. And,
wow.
and so it was really built. And I'm sure because you even put this in your blog that they had servants, they had help that lived in the home with them when they built this home. And so those kitchens were built very, very, this kitchen was built very small. And, and so and it was also it was dark. There weren't, there was one window between all the walls. And so we just needed to open it up. But part of our thing was we wanted to preserve the history of the house and try to, and so that fireplace right back there runs through the whole house and it goes to the furnace downstairs. And it was part of what heated this home. And it runs, up through all the floors. And so we wanted to expose that brick. And so I know it's so special. You find that those little treasures in these homes, and it's something really.
And too, when we walk through, I immediately think about how to decorate it for Christmas. Do you find that when you would look at a house, you would say, "Now, I wonder would the tree go here? This would be a good place for the tree."
I'm so glad you're like that too, because that's exactly how I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and for this house, it was the porch because this is a craftsman home. And so it has a huge, deep wraparound porch. And so that's what, I didn't see anything else but that porch. And so, that's what stole my heart. For sure. And I think those projects, they take time, and you just know they're going to take time and money and patience, but you just
nothing's level.
Oh gosh.
There's no 16 in Sean Center.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I know. In your blogging journey, what has been maybe the biggest surprise to you in blogging?
The biggest surprise. I've thought about this, and I think the biggest surprise is sometimes, usually words just flow out of me, and sometimes they just don't. And you have to just realize that you need to take a break so that's one surprise. I never thought that I'd get a little tired, so I've granted myself a break or two. But another surprise is that I didn't realize I would inspire as many people as I do. And I love that. And I love that I knew that people would be interested in such an old home, but I didn't realize how many people would be so interested in. And sometimes, I'm surprised too at the questions I get asked, where I think I'm going to be asked one question and then I get asked, is your house haunted? I get that all the time. And yeah, at first it surprised me. I was like, gosh, I just did this really great project. And
And you just asked me if my house is haunted?
about that, they want to know if my house is haunted. Yeah.
Oh,
No, it's not that I know of.
yeah. That's funny. I've never been asked that question, but that's funny.
All the time.
Really? Oh my goodness. That is funny.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you think and I know you kind of mentioned it just now, but what's been the biggest challenge for you?
The biggest challenge is time management.
Mm.
Well, time with my house or my
Well,
blog.
let's do both. Because as I was saying that, I was really thinking that really goes. I think we've got two different communities watching this. I think you have the bloggers, and I think we also have those that aren't blogging, but they're managing home projects and things like that. So let's first answer the blogging one. So what's your biggest maybe?
My biggest challenge is time management.
Yeah.
And so planning out the posts, the projects, and sometimes I know that we're supposed to, it's a good rule of thumb to write a post a couple weeks out, but a lot of times I'm doing it the day before. Right. But to try to plan out the projects and to make sure that you complete them and they're done in time to write on your time frame, that's a huge challenge, because sometimes they take longer or other things come up. Right. So that's one challenge. And another challenge is budget. Mm-hmm. Because you could, we always budget. We do a spreadsheet for every project, and you just don't know what you're going to uncover. And a lot of times you try to factor in like miscellaneous, mm-hmm. and the miscellaneous goes high. Mm-hmm. So those two things, time management and budget, are always.
Yeah, I agree.
Those are my biggest challenges.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Those are two things a lot of times we can't control. Some of it we can, right. But right. I definitely agree with that. Yeah. So, okay. So what has been one of your favorite projects that you've worked on?
My favorite project to date is my garden house.
Yes.
I love it. It took 8 years to build. I've been designing it. I had a design board that I made 8 years ago, mm-hmm. and I've been collecting windows and columns and brick for that long, really. And finally, this past fall, we built it, and it is my favorite project to date. And it's my solace. I go out there every day. I pot plants. We entertain.
Yeah.
I go up there just to sit, to be quiet.
Yes.
And to photo shoots, all of that. That's my favorite project.
Yeah. I want to know how you did this, because it is amazing. How big is it? Where did you collect all the stuff to make? I didn't realize that you built it. This is amazing.
Yeah, we built it. Now it's not a greenhouse. We don't have
a garden house. Okay.
Yeah. I would love a greenhouse too, but just a garden house. But it is about 400 square feet.
Okay.
And I wanted to build it out of old windows. So I started collecting windows, but then my husband's uncle owns a warehouse storage facility, and they were changing out all of their windows to energy efficient windows. And he was getting rid of these windows. Mm. So I just loaded them up and brought them home, and they lived in our barn for 4 years, 5 years, until we could really get going on the build. And so, but in the meantime, I had collected some other windows from flea markets or salvage shops, or, maybe I found a couple of them on the side of the road, but not many. A lot of people like to hold on to windows. So I still have some of those that I'll probably sell or give away myself. But and then the columns I found at a barn sale, and one of the French doors I found at a barn sale. A friend of mine was moving, and she had a brand new French door, and that was the other one. And so I just saved. I just had to be patient and just save.
Yeah.
So yeah.
pieced it together. So,
And luckily we had the space to just kind of store it, but
right.
yeah.
So did you and your husband built it together?
And we had one other guy, his name was Rob, and we called him Rob the Builder. We called
That's funny.
Yeah. So he came over on the weekends, but and he would work all day on the weekends, both days. But then during the week, my husband and I would build it, my husband primarily, and I did most of the painting, but I did lay the brick floor all myself.
Wow. Oh, that's work right there in itself.
It was backbreaking.
And that was old brick, or was that new brick? Did you just?
It was old brick, and we got that for free. We found it on Facebook Marketplace. So we just started like bringing it by my carload. I could only fit so much in my car, and we don't have a truck. So
Right.
we made a few trips, and it just lived under, we have a tree in the backyard right off of the garden house, and the brick lived there for a couple of years.
Yeah. Okay, my wheels are turning. I'm thinking my parents are about to tear out some old brick, and I'm thinking,
don't get rid of it.
I think you need to save this brick.
Save it.
Yeah. Oh, it is really, really beautiful. So
thank you.
I know that there are a lot of people and I think that's really encouraging to people to hear that you didn't go out and spend just break the bank and spend a ton of money trying to build this, that you got a lot of things that were even free. And
patience is a virtue too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and I just knew that I wanted columns, and luckily I found them at the barn sale, and they needed a little surgery. You know, they were kind of cracked in some places, but I used putty, and I just kind of rebuilt them a little bit and painted them, and they're there.
I think that's amazing. I think people need to remember that that we don't have to use new, shiny, all that for all this stuff. I think the old has character.
Oh yeah.
We need to.
I got some paint on some of the windows a little bit, and I scraped some off, but I'm not going to just really get too detailed on that, because it kind of looks good to just
on
there. Yeah.
Keep it like that. That's great. Mm-hmm. Well, you said you like to garden, and you're in a garden club. So what are some of the things that maybe between gardening and your hobbies, what are some of the things that you love to do?
Well, I do love, especially right now, I do love to garden. And one of my favorite things to do is to plant container gardens. Mm. And whether I have them inside or outside, I'm about to write about a container garden that I've done with just ferns.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I love trying to find or collecting vessels or big, huge baskets or pots or anything for a container garden. That's kind of my new obsession, is to just kind of have them everywhere. And I'm trying to design, I'm not a very good garden designer, but I'm trying to design a shade garden right by the garden house. So
okay. Wow.
Yeah. So I like to do that, but I also love to do little crafts, and I love to cook.
You have some great recipes on your blog. So
thank you. I love to cook.
Yes. Well, so what types of ferns have you done in the pots?
I did some eyelash ferns, and I did some leatherleaf ferns. Let's see, I have it written down. I've got the rabbit's foot ferns I have a bird's nest fern. I have a button fern in there, and a maidenhair fern.
Oh, wow. So do you have those on your blog?
I will. Okay. I will. I'm writing, that blog post is coming up.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll let everybody know you need to go and visit that. And when you go to her blog, you can sign up and you'll get updates, and she'll keep you posted on when she has those new posts. So be sure to do that. Sign up on her email list.
I'd love for you to sign up.
Absolutely. Okay. So, is there anything that you want to share with everyone about your website, about your blog, or your journey, or any of your projects that you have upcoming, that you'd like for them to know about?
Well, of course, I'm going to have more gardening posts coming up because I'm up here in the Northeast. We don't plant our vegetable gardens or our gardens really until Mother's Day. That's kind of our rule of thumb. So I'll have some posts coming up there, some ideas. I'm going to bring everybody along with my shade garden, and I have a bench being built right now by my son. So I'm excited about that. And then some other little decor things outside, a pathway going up to the garden house and how we're going to do that and how windy should it be. And I'm also doing some recipe testing in my kitchen so I can publish some good recipes on my blog for spring.
Great. Well, we'll be looking for that.
Fun little crafty projects too that I'm doing that are fun for the spring and that are indoor, outdoor.
Okay, great. Well, Brooke, it has just been wonderful to visit with you. And
thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Yes, it's been great. I just feel like I've gotten to know you even better. And I am so excited. I want to let everyone know to please go over to her blog, Farmhouse 1820. I'm going to link it here. You've seen a lot of the pictures. Yes, please do. And you're going to love her blog. You're going to love the projects that she's done. You're going to love her garden house. I appreciate you being here today. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I really appreciate you being here.